Yo, what's up, guys? Coach Geetster here. The Shark line has set itself up to be at the top of the X once again with its newest addition, SharkScale. If you're enjoying the content, please feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to support me further, check out my Medify coaching link down in the description below. Let's get into the guide. So, why should you pick SharkScale? SharkScale is a very powerful upper attacking blade. Because of the lower position of the metal on SharkScale compared to other Beyblades, this allows the two main sloped contact points of SharkScale to get up and under the opponent and throw them into the overt or extreme zone. The low blade height of SharkScale gives it some defensive capabilities as well. It's able to prevent upper attacks from the opponent and also deflect away smash attacks in a similar fashion to Silverwolf because of the slopes. Lastly, SharkScale works with a bunch of different launch types, whether that be a drop launch, reverse dash, an angle, or just a simple flat launch. SharkScale is very adaptable, so being able to use all these different types will greatly boost your win rate with this blade. Some weaknesses that SharkScale has: the blade is designed with an imbalance, and this can destabilize it late in the game. So there might be some matches that look like you're going to win by spin finish, but your opponent will get that right hit on you, and because of the imbalance, you're going to get destabilized pretty heavily and scrape on your ratchet. And lastly, being too low or too high can hinder the blade's ability to attack. Because of the upper attacker, obviously being too high is not what you want. But being too low with SharkScale is also a bad thing. It actually makes you whiff more often because your blade isn't making good contact with your opponent's blade. You're going to be hitting their ratchet and you're not going to really get the lift that you're looking for. We'll go over this a bit more in the combo section, but just being too low, even though it sounds weird for an upper attacker, is definitely something that can happen with SharkScale. I see this happen with a lot of builds on like 450 or under flats where they'll hit the opponent, but they're just not getting the power that other builds that are in a more normal height get. You don't need to be too low because the blade already sits low enough. So my recommended combo with SharkScale is going to be SharkScale 170 Low Rush, and I align the 170 ratchet with the heavier side of SharkScale. This gives you the maximum attack potential with the blade. So I have it pictured here if you're curious on how to arrange it. You can arrange it the other way as well if you want to value your stamina a bit more. Just know that it's going to struggle a bit more with more defensive builds. That's why I have it positioned this way. You can swap it if you feel like you need more stamina, though. But like I said, we want SharkScale on an even height with our opponent. So being on 170, we just counteract that with the low rush, so we're technically 60 height, and that's all we're looking for. Low rush is a bit faster in my testing. I find it's a bit faster than normal rush, and that also gives you a lot of attack power. So that's why we went with this build. 160 rush is effectively the same thing. So some alternative combos I have: 160, 760, 360, all with normal rush work just fine. And then all those same ratchets on 70 height also work with low rush. And if you want to use kick, just use a 60 height ratchet. Kick is still alright. I think kick is probably better on something else. But if you want to use kick on Shark, it's perfectly fine. Another build that I've seen going around, especially in the Asian regions, is 960 Low Orb. I haven't tested this one personally, so test it yourself. I can't tell you exactly how it works, but from what I've seen, it's a defensive build. So it takes the defensive properties that I explained and uses them to the max. You disregard the attack power this blade has, and you just use it to beat other attack types. You're not going to be able to outspin a Wizard Rod with this, but against other attackers, it seems to be pretty decent. So test it out. I might test it out soon, but there's another combo if you want to play something more passive with SharkScale. Now, our goals with SharkScale, since we can use a bunch of different launch tech with our opponent or with this blade, we're going to read our opponent's launch to try to counter it. Since we can use all these different launch techs, we're going to have to make sure that we're picking the right one for the matchup and for the launch our opponent's going for. But at a baseline, against attack, I try to angle slightly just to get that front blade engaged with their opponent so we can deflect them away. If we want to go for more of an aggressive launch, we can do that too. Like I said, SharkScale's launching is pretty flexible, but this is just a baseline. I go for slight angle just to maintain some stamina and to bounce them off of me in the early game. Against stamina or defense, if you know how to launch Hover Wyvern, it's pretty similar. We're going to try to get most of our contact pointing our opponent towards the pockets. Since Shark Scale doesn't really smash attack as hard, you don't really get a lot of those crazy ricochet shots when you're pointing the wrong way, so you have to try to point them the correct way. So let's hop into some gameplay and show off how Shark Scale is adaptable. So hopping into some gameplay here, the first few matches are going to be going up against some of the more common defense types in the meta right now. So the first two matches here are going to be going up against Rod Hexa. So in general, going up against stamina types, like I mentioned, we're going to try to get ourselves in a position that we are pointing our opponents towards the pocket, so our upper attacks are actually putting our opponent into a spot where we want them. So obviously, we upper attack them into the back wall that's facing us right now. That doesn't do anything. We want our upper attacks towards the pockets so that we can score some points. Now, my defaults against stamina and defense are going to be one of two launches, which is either just going to be a flat launch, and the flat launch is meant to counter any sort of reverse dash from our opponent. The flat launch is going to put us here and loop us around, and then we'll meet in this corner over here with us on the rail, and this will point our opponent towards either the extreme zone or this pocket here. And the second launch that I try to use is a drop launch. So if I believe my opponent is going for a flat launch into the middle, we are going to go for a drop launch to stall in this corner and then drop down, pointing them towards the pockets. So in this match, I believe, or going off my opponent's launch, I believe that they are going to go for a flat launch in the center. So we are going to use a drop launch here. This drop launch is going to set us up perfectly to get some good attacks in the beginning. We get one hit into the overzone, one back wall bounce off the extreme zone, and then finally get the extreme finish there with the third attack. So now, on X side, my strategy changes a little bit. If I believe they're going to do this corner stall that some people do with their stamina types or defense types, I will just go for the flat launch like I do with any other attack type. Just disrupt them up here, knock them around, and like I said, same thing from X side or B side. It's going to work the same way on X. Point them towards the extreme or this pocket. Another launch that I've been trying out and I've been really liking with Shark is almost sort of a drop launch, but from X side. And we're not trying to use this corner. We're going to stall up in this section. This launch is going to have the shark sit, and then it's going to sweep down through this way. So if they're in the middle, you will sweep towards this way like this, and it will point them towards this pocket here or the extreme zone. I've had the best results with Shark doing this. I actually started trying to do this with Hover Wyvern first, but because of the angle that Hover Wyvern needs, it's not as effective. But SharkScale is the perfect blade to use this style of launch with. Something I haven't really seen other people use. So try it out, see if it works for you. If you don't want to go for that, you can try a slide drop, which is going to put you up in this B-side hill or B-side corner. So we're going to go for that launch here. Of course, our shark scale didn't want to drop down hard like I want it to, but it was just enough to throw our opponent's Hexa into the rail a bunch. And now we're going to take advantage of the stamina that shark scale has. Because it's a UX blade, it has a lot of outward weight distribution. And paired with the sloped sides or sloped contact points, it's going to be able to destabilize our opponent in the late game, giving us some spin finishes. Now, this matchup is up against Silverwolf on Hexa, and same launching principles, same launch tech strategy is going to be used here, where drop launch against a flat launch, or if they go for a reverse dash, we're going to flat launch the counter. And in this clip here, I don't get a perfect drop launch, but it's good enough. We don't get this corner, but we get this one. And all we're trying to do is point ourselves this way. So even if we don't get the launch tech perfect. We just want to make sure we're positioning in a general area and making the most out of it. I don't want you guys to focus too hard on being perfect with these launch tech. Um, as long as it's good enough and it's the right style of launch to use up against your opponent, you're still putting the odds in your favor. So don't spend too much time overthinking about the launch tech and wasting all the time to learn it. Learn more when to implement it. You'll over time learn how to get the launches the way you want, learn how to implement the launches more, and what situations they're good in. So this one we get one good hit, it's going to lift them into the over. And then this one, we get a better drop launch on this one. And like I said before, SharkScale has a deceptively high amount of stamina. Some people might not launch their defense types hard enough against it. And any good knock into the rail for Hexa puts them potentially in range for a outspin. So we're going to get a spin finish here up against Rod or Silver Wolf Hexa as well. Next matchup here is Cobalt Dragoon Elevate. The way I approach this matchup, I want to meet them either on the outside. So I'm going to try to get a quick X dash. I want to be X dashing as soon as possible because of the way Cobalt Dragoon E moves around. It'll either be in the middle if we get there quick enough and we'll just come off the rail and hit them, or they'll drift out to the outside and we'll run into them. They won't be on the rail normally, and we'll have the rail backing us up, so we won't get knocked off of it. They'll get knocked around, and we will either burst them or KO them, or just drain a bunch of their spin so they can't actually effectively spin steal against us. So we're going to get a quick X dash, knock them into the wall, and we're going to get a couple good hits here, and it's going to drain their stamina. And because of the shape of SharkScale, if they lose too much spin like this, they're not going to be able to stay upright and spin steal off us effectively, so we can outspin them. Now, generally, this isn't the outcome if they get to the late game with Dragoon against us. Generally, they will outspin us. I've been outspun by it. But you still have high chances of KOing or bursting them. SharkScale's able to get under Cobalt Dragoon Elevate, even though it is so short. So just make sure you go for some early contact. Now, up against attackers here, the drop launch strategy still works. This one I kind of just angled forward a bit more. I kind of went for the drop launch, didn't really get it off correctly, but just angling our shark scale forward was able to tank a bunch of those hits, and then we were able to outspin the blast on Jaggy. Now, next one here is up against Aero Pegasus on kick. This combo has a lot of stamina, so we have to go for a little more early contact to either drain their spin or just KO them. Now we have the advantage of Aero Pegasus being a smash attacker, so we can defend a little easier with the sloped parts of Shark Scale. So we're going to dodge their first X dash, and then our first X dash is going to give us a burst. Now, this Aero Pegasus combo that we went up against here is on a low rush. So now they're on 960 low rush. They are a millimeter shorter than us on 170 and low rush. But since Shark Scale sits so low, we will still be able to upper attack against this combo. So we're going to see we got a nice little pop up there. And eventually we're just going to push them out. So we use our defense early, and we are going to beat them. Here is the other attack type that is up high in the meta right now, which is Hover Wyvern. And this is honestly one of SharkScale's best matchups, in my opinion. And that's because of the shape of Hover. So if we look at Hover here, it has this kind of triangular style shape here. Um, I'm not the best at drawing. Don't mind me. Um, so they have to bank this combo so low to even hit normal height combos, because they want to use this section of hover as their main contact point. But up against us with our metals being so low, they have to angle a lot harder to get a good attack off against us. And even then, it doesn't always work out for them. We have this whole bottom section here that we can use to get under them and lift them around, knock them around, create a lot of recoil that's going to slow them down quickly. And lastly, we can exploit Hover Wyvern's launch pretty easily because they have to be doing these reverse dashes, drop launches, things like that. So we can flat launch against these and counter them pretty well. So this one we aim to the front. We are just angled forward at them, and they can't get under us, and then we get a great hit on them because of the shape advantage that we have. Last matchup here is up against Phoenix Swing on Kick. I know this is a bit more of a popular combo recently, and like I said, up against Arrow Pegasus, we have the advantage because they are a smash attacker. So we're going to see how well SharkScale is able to hold up against these attacks in the early game. We get a crazy upper attack there, even though they ran into us. They ran out a bunch of their stamina going for those X dashes at the beginning, and then so they were set up in the middle, and then we finally went for our first X dash, knocked them in the overzone. Luckily, they popped out, but 9 times out of 10, that'll be an overfinish for us. So SharkScale is able to be used in a bunch of different ways. Most important thing for SharkScale is learning when to use what style of launch tech. Being exact with it isn't the most important thing. Like I said, you'll learn the exact placements of everything and how to get it to work for you over time. But learning when the correct time to use whatever style of launch that you're thinking about using is going to be the most important. That'll give you the best results. So, yeah. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. Let me know what combos you've been liking on SharkScale in the comments below. Make sure that you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're new here and you want to catch up, check out the playlist on the screen. I'll have all my other blade guides listed there. And if you'd like some coaching, check out my Medify link in the description below. I have coaching services and I have other cool content for you guys up there. I'll catch you guys in the next one.